Welcome to part one of the small FrameCAD ADU project. In part one, we're going to learn the basic workflow of importing architectural floor plans into FrameCAD structure to begin designing the structure of a small residential building. We'll set up our first file through the border setup command. We will change our truss settings using tset. We will change our panel settings using pset. And we will begin 3D modeling some walls. So let's open up FrameCAD structure and start a new file. First thing I want to do is File, Save As, and save my file in a place where I'll be able to find it later. For you, that may be on Cloud Drive. It could be on a flash drive. I would not recommend that you save it on our school computers anywhere. Just use your own personal flash drive or cloud drive. We're going to use our file naming scheme for this class, which includes the date. Today's date at the time of this recording is the 17th of September, 2025. I'm going to write A1, and I'm going to write FCAD Intro Project as the name of this assignment. And then at the end, I'm going to leave my initials. Put a little dash here, and let's get rid of this one here. So this file name has our date, tells me what's in this file, and also has my initials. And I'm going to make sure to save it somewhere where I can always find it and access it later. All right. Next thing we're going to do, the first thing you do here in set and structure is you're going to go to the structure drop-down menu under settings and border setup. This is always the first thing that you want to do anytime you start a project in FrameCAD structure. Alternatively, you can type in the command bset. As you can see here, it says bset border setup. So in the command line, I can go ahead and type in bset and hit enter, and it'll bring up the same dialog box. So here under the Layouts tab, we're going to update the values according to the image in the handout, which will include company name, and I'm just going to write OCC Architecture. You're more than welcome to use your own company name or make up one. For drafter, I'm going to put my name because I am the drafter. I'm going to actually change this to all uppercase. This is today's date, so that's fine. And then quantity, I want you to set this to 6. Row, I want you to set that to 2. Our sheet size. Sheet size has to do with our borders. We'll get into that a little bit later on, but for now, I just want you to go ahead and set it up for a 17 by 11. The border name that you're going to want to choose is BR FrameCAD. You're not going to have BR OCC border. That's a custom one that I've made, but I can show you how to use it in the future. And the scale. This is an architectural scale. I want to use the scale of 1/4 of an inch to a foot. So this says 1/4. Quotation marks means inches. This is a colon, meaning that this is a ratio between 1/4 of an inch and this value here. Whenever you see an apostrophe, that indicates feet. So apostrophe, feet, quotation mark, inches. So the architectural scale is 1/4 of an inch is equal to a foot. And units type. This is the one and only chance for you to set the units type in any project in structure. So make sure that you set it to imperial units. And then here under text height, I'm going to have you put, let's do 6 inches, so 6 quotation mark. Detail sheet ratio, I'll leave it at imperial. Color scheme, dark background. Okay, it's very important that you don't mess this part up because this is the only time you can change your units in a structure project. If you mess this up and leave it at metric units, for the rest of this project, you'll you'll be struggling. So, and there's no way to change it after you've set it here. This value and this parameter will forever disappear after I hit insert. The next thing we'll do is we'll head over to the engineering tab. Okay, loading design code. I'm going to keep it at IBC 2021 LRFD. AISI for the steel design code. IBC 2021, wind speed at 110. Foundation type, I have it set to D. Importance level is 2. Structural response is 4. 1.063, 1.0, and 0.63. So, what do these all mean? Design codes, these are all of the codes that FrameCAD Structure is going to be using to help design the structure of the building. So these are the loading design codes that we can check our design against. IBC is the International Building Code. These are your steel design codes for using steel for projects. And then our earthquake code, which is also IBC 2021. Okay. And the wind speed. The wind speed can be it's the wind pressure measured in PSF. So we're going to set it at 110, but this number could be changed based on the location of the project. There are a few websites where you can go and look up what the typical wind speeds are in an area. For this project, we're going to use OCC, or Orange County, Costa Mesa, Southern California, as our site. So we're going to use 110. And then for foundation type, that should be set to D. D is for medium to loose sand. That's our foundation type. Importance level is for level 2 is for typical buildings, whereas level 1 is for low risk buildings. 3 is for public buildings. 4 is for essential services. And here's our structural response. There's all that. And our 0.2 second spectral response and 1 second spectral response. And then here under design options, we can also utilize eccentric loads or continuity loads. This tab allows you to make adjustments to the settings for structure for this project. So that way, depending on the location and all the environment and the context of the site, we can input all of these values to make sure that we design properly for our sites. The next thing I'm going to do is under options, I want you to go to reference options, primary color. I want you to click on this little ellipse here and then type in 130 as a value and click OK. And then your secondary color will be 75, and then make sure your visibility level is set to 100. No reference points. Okay, we'll get into that later on. Just make sure you do that. And then I'm going to click on Insert. And what that's going to do, it's going to generate 6 borders laid out in 2 rows, just like I asked. If you double click on your middle wheel button, you'll get to zoom out to see the full extent of whatever's in this file. For now, we have 6 borders. So what is a border? A border is basically a title block or sheet. This is a representation of a digital sheet of paper. We had chosen 17 by 11. That's the size of a real physical piece of paper. And so this is a representation of that 17 by 11. A title block is when you have all of this information somewhere either on the bottom, top, or right side of this sheet or border that includes things like job details, the draftsman, the file name, the view name, date, the scale, the sheet size, and other things as well. Okay, so in structure, what we end up doing is we model everything here on these borders, right? So in real life, this is a 17 by 11 sheet of paper. We had dictated that we'll use a 1/4 of an inch is equal to a foot architectural scale. So on this 17 by 11 sheet of paper, we will be providing floor plans and 3D modeling our building at an architectural scale of 1/4 inch to a foot. Okay, it'll make a lot more sense later on, but just know that these are all 6 borders or title blocks or digital pieces of paper, which we're going to be designing on top of. The way that they're numbered on the bottom left is number 1. We have 2 above, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So just for visualization's sake, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of text. And let's do it at 8 inches tall. You don't have to do this part. I'm going to say 1. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's do not 8 inches, but 10 feet. There we go. All right. I'm going to go ahead and add this text. I'm going to center this text in this border. Oops. Undo that. I'm going to go ahead and copy view to each of these sheets. Again, you don't have to do this part. I'm just going to create a little diagram to show you how the numbering system works. All right. So here in structure, the way that the pages are, the borders are organized is this is number 1, 2 up on the top left, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is just the way it does it. Now, I'm going to teach you how to use a quick navigation method, which involves you entering this command. You're going to type in V as in Victor. You're going to hit enter. In the command line, it says enter new view name, and you're going to hit any one of these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and then you'll press enter. So let's enter 6 and hit enter, and it's going to quick navigate me all the way to border number 6. Let's do V, enter, 2, enter, V, enter, 3, enter, V, enter, 5, enter. Oops, try that again. V, enter, 5, enter, and now V, enter, 1, enter. Okay, that's the quick navigation method, and I want to make sure that you use it all the time when using structure, because if the way structure works is when we're designing things and we're modeling walls, we need to be in that specific border for it to relate and understand that it exists in this space. So make sure whenever you're doing something and following along with these exercises, don't simply zoom out with the middle wheel button and come over to number 6 or go to number 4. That's not good enough. You want to quick navigate, V, enter, 1, enter, V, enter, 3, enter. You're always going to want to quick navigate to those specific borders. That way when I draw my building in here, it will show up in the correct space in 3D. So I'm going to go back to view number 1. Actually, I'm going to zoom out using my middle wheel button, and I'm going to delete all of these numbers because I don't need them, and I'm going to quick navigate to border number 1. All right, so the next thing we're going to want to do is you're going to import a architectural floor plan. It's a DWG file, which is done in AutoCAD. So I'm going to navigate to Canvas to locate it for us. So here I am in Canvas. This week I have our files right here located in module number 1. So let's collapse all these modules. I'm going to open up module number 1. Right here under week 2 is going to be the assignment. I have not published that yet, but you'll see that soon. And then under that is reference files. These are the 2 reference files that you're going to need to download. So let's go ahead and click on this one and download that. And then let's go back and click on this one here. And then we'll download this. I'll go back. If I don't have those files sitting here in the modules, it probably will end up here in the assignment itself, probably under some sort of header that says files. So look out for it either here in modules or in the assignment itself. Let's go ahead and minimize that. And let's go ahead and navigate to our downloads folder so I can see the 2 new downloads. First one I'll do is this PDF. actually, let's grab both of these. I'm going to go ahead and right click and cut, and I'm going to navigate to this class, and I'm going to go to lectures, and I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to keep everything nice and organized and together. I'm going to open up this PDF. Okay, so here's our PDF. This is an actual project for a client, and this is the site plan. This top one is the existing site plan. The red shows what's going to be demolished. And then this one below is the site plan of the proposed. So in this proposal, let's zoom in a little bit, we are actually going to add on an ADU, which is this one down here, and also an SB9. And then we're also going to reconfigure this area here as a junior ADU. And then this is the carport, so you can actually drive all the way through. And then this is the primary single-story, single-family residence. Okay, so our main concern is just going to be with this ADU right here. Okay, so if I go down to the next sheet, this is the floor plan of the primary house. And here on the next sheet, this is the ADU floor plan and the SB9 floor plan. So here's our ADU. The entrance door is going to be right over here on the far right. You're going to walk through the kitchen living room area. This is the kitchen area. We have a small little tiny vestibule or hallway. Leads to bedroom number 2. We have bathroom number 2, which is open to guests. We also have a little walk-in closet. And then on this way here, we have bedroom number 1. We have a walk-in closet there. And then it's got its own ensuite bathroom. And then there's a stacked washer-dryer in the hallway. And that's basically the whole entire ADU portion. The SB9 unit is very similar. I think there's just small little differences. So here on the left-hand side, I went ahead and clipped in the window schedule, which lists every single window for this project, and also the door schedule, which lists every single door for this project. So I might have my units confused. I think maybe we're doing this unit here instead. I think we're doing the SB9 unit. And then, yeah, these door numbers 201. Yeah, these are 300s. So, yeah, our unit is actually this one right here. My mistake. All right. And then if you want to keep going, you can look at more drawings showing the entire project. This is our foundation plan and framing plan. A little bit of FrameCAD. So we're going to actually do this part here, all this FrameCAD stuff. So let's go ahead and close this file. That's just there for your reference, just to give you some background. And then we have this proposed ADU floor plan. So don't open it. Don't double click it and open it. I'm going to go to FrameCAD structure. I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to find that file, Proposed ADU Floor Plan. Okay, here it is right here. So what I want you to do, it's opened up in the brand new tab. I'm going to make a big selection window by clicking way over here, zooming out using my middle wheel button, and then clicking way over here. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a Control-C to copy. Okay, so now it's copied onto my clipboard. I'm going to go to my project. I'm going to paste, Control-V. On my command line, it says insert point. I'm going to insert it right here. All right, so now I have the floor plan from the architect here in FrameCAD structure. The next thing I want to do, and this is very important, is we want to take this floor plan drawing and turn it into a block. So the reason why we want to turn it into a block is because if I go around selecting any parts of this drawing, Notice that I'm able to click many individual lines, many individual groups or blocks, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep it all together as one unit while I use FrameCAD structure to build the structural walls for this place. So I'm going to hit escape a couple times. In between commands, it's always a good idea to hit escape 2 times. When you finish a command, hit escape. That'll ensure that you've canceled out of the command, and then hit escape a second time to ensure that you've deselected everything that you may have selected. The next thing we're going to do is type in the command block. Okay, and I'm going to give this block a name, ADU FP, floor plan for short. I'm going to say specify on screen, and I'm going to say OK. In the command line, it says select entities. So what entities do I want to create a block out of? I want to make a nice big selection window above this thing. Don't be afraid to make it too big. Use your scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom out. Make a nice big large selection window around the floor plan, ensuring that you get every single little line into your selection. So I'm going to go way out here. I'm going to left click just one time. Okay, I'm going to hover my cursor all the way to this corner, making sure not to touch any of my borders, but I just want to make sure to cover the entire floor plan. And then I'm going to left click once more. That's how you make a selection in FrameCAD structure. Now that I've selected the entities that I want to create a border with, I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. All right, here in the command line, it's just flashing, right? This cursor tip is just blinking. That means I don't have any active commands on. So I'm going to hit escape 2 times just to make sure that I don't have any active commands. And now when I hover my cursor over this floor plan, now everything gets selected when I click any one single piece of it. And that's because they're now all grouped. Every single little teeny tiny line here has been grouped into a block. So this is going to provide us security. I'm not going to accidentally delete any part of these lines or this drawing. So now that I have this as a block, I'm going to want to go ahead and bring it into border number 1. So to do that, I'm going to use a command called move. Type in move, hit enter. You're going to select the entities to move. I'm down here reading my command line. The command line is the place where you communicate with FrameCAD structure. If you say move, that means you want to initiate the move command. And when you type that in and hit enter, it starts the process. And structure will respond to you and say, well, select the entities that you want to move. So in response, you're going to go ahead and click and select the entity that you want to move. Then you're going to press enter once you've selected it. And now it wants you to specify a base point. For now, I want you to just go ahead and click anywhere outside of the floor plan itself, just way over here like this. You're going to click once. And now it says specify second point or use first point as displacement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my cursor over here to the right so that way it starts to be placed onto border number 1. Notice that my movements are straight left and right and straight up and down. That's because down here in my status bar, I have my orthogonal on-off enabled. I can see that it's enabled. There are 3 things enabled in my status bar, and they include cursor mode, orthogonal on-off, and entity snap settings, or OS mode. What this means is, with orthogonal on and off, if I disable it by clicking it, I can now move anywhere I want relative to that first point that I had clicked. Now if I turn it back on again, I am constrained to moving in either left, right, up, down directions. I cannot just go at a 45-degree angle or 22-degree angle, but if I turn off ortho mode, I can move about wherever I want. So for this, I'm going to turn off ortho mode. As you can see, it's no longer blue. And I'm going to zoom in to border number 1. And I'm going to make sure to place it somewhere in this border. You can use pan here in structure to move your vision across the whole entire canvas or modeling environment by clicking and dragging your cursor wheel. If you have a scroll wheel on your mouse, click it in, press it down, and then drag. Click it in and drag. Click it in, keep it clicked in, and drag. Click it in, keep it clicked, and drag. Drag, drag, and that's called panning. That allows you to move about this environment with ease. So back to the command line, it says select second point. I'm going to click somewhere here so that way my block is now within border number 1. There we go. And I'm going to use a clever little command called center. So type in CTR and hit enter on your keyboard. You can also, besides hitting enter to initiate commands, you can also use the space bar, and you can also use right click. All three of those do the same thing. So if I type in a command, I can either hit enter, space bar, or right click to initiate that command. Alternatively, if I am using the same command over and over again, I can use the space bar, enter, or right click to reissue the last command that I had just used. So I just used move. If I wanted to move something else right after that, I can just press enter, spacebar, or right click, and it will initiate that command again. And then I would have the ability to select what entity I want to move, and then dictate where I want to move it from, and then where I want to move it to. So now I'm going to use the center command. Here in the command line, it says select items to center on the page. I'm going to click on this block, and then I'm going to press enter, and it's going to center all of this geometry perfectly within border number 1. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to add this block to a temporary layer, so that way I can quickly and easily turn this temporary layer on and off as needed. To do that, I'm going to go to the structure drop-down menu under layer controls and LX1, add temporary layer number 1. Alternatively, I can type in LX1, which is the keyboard alias for this command. So let's click it once. It says select entities to put on toggle layer. I'm going to select my block, and then I'll hit enter. And now what do I do? Well, I can use another command where I can go to the structure drop-down menu. I can go to layer controls, and right here, LT1, toggle temp layer 1 on off. If I click on that, you'll notice my block will disappear. Let's reissue that command by right-clicking or hitting enter or hitting spacebar. Now that command has brought this block back. So let's type in LT1, enter, and it turns that block off. LT1, enter, and it brings it back. If I want to reissue that command, instead of typing it, I could just hit enter, 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 and I can reissue that same command over and over and over again as many times as I like to turn that temporary layer on and off. So now we've imported our architectural floor plan, we've added it as a block, we've added it as a temporary layer, and now we can turn that temporary layer on and off as needed. Why would we want to do that? It helps to be able to turn that temporary layer on and off as needed, because when I go to build my structure, my walls or my roof, I can quickly and easily turn this block on so I can see where the lines go, or off so I can turn it off and not be confused as to what I'm doing. The next thing we want to do is we want to add in our reference points. For the reference point system to work properly, there are 4 rules that must apply. Number 1, only 1 reference point within a border. Number 2, minimum of 2 reference points for each reference number used. Number 3, only 1 reference point number for each structure. Number 4, each reference point must be placed in a corresponding point within a border to a primary reference point. To add a single reference point, we can select a common point of the building. This will add a primary reference point as the first reference point. To insert a reference point on our lower wall, we can use the ref command. Ref, enter. Alternatively, you would find that command under Structure, Miscellaneous, and ref reference point. These letters here are typically the keyboard alias for the command that it sits next to, so ref reference point. So while holding Alt on my keyboard, I'm going to go ahead and left click. I'm going to zoom in first. I'm going to hold Alt, and I'm going to do a click right here in this corner. And what that's going to produce is a reference point that's green with this arrow. This is P1. This is my primary reference point. If I zoom out and look at all my other borders, you'll see that there is a reference point on each one of them. These ones all say S1 as they are secondary reference points. They all reference the primary reference point. This means that whatever I design, whatever I model in any one of these 6 borders, they will all be referencing this very exact location. So I want to make sure I'm designing properly by utilizing the reference points. When I start to build this in 3D, if I have the reference points in the wrong areas, my 3D model won't look correct, and therefore it also won't be structurally designed correctly. Now we're going to use polylines for our framing layouts. To do this, we start with the Entity Snap settings. Go ahead and right-click Entity Snap Settings, click on Settings, and here we are under, let's go to Coordinate Input and Entity Snaps. Make sure you have Endpoint, Nearest, Midpoint, Center, Perpendicular, Intersection, and Extension. If you have all of those on, go ahead and click OK. And we're going to quick navigate to border number 1. Now, I'm already looking at border number 1, but I want to quick navigate to border number 1 to make sure that I am in border number 1. So V, enter, 1, enter. I'm going to initiate the polyline command by typing in polyline and hitting enter. Oops. Make sure you spell it correctly. Polyline. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the polyline command to create a series of connected lines that represent the exterior footprint of these walls. So here in the command line, it says enter to use last point, follow, start a polyline. I'm always looking for what's in the left and right brackets, which is start of polyline right here. I've initiated the polyline command. Structure is asking, where do you want to start? I'm going to find my reference point, and I'm going to start right here at the corner of this wall. And then here, Structure in the command line is saying next point, so it wants me to continue. So I'm going to get this corner, making sure to snap to endpoints as much as possible. And I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to zoom into this point, and I'll click it, and I'll zoom out, and zoom into this point, and I'll click it, zoom out, zoom in, click, zoom out, zoom in, click, zoom out, zoom in, and click. Okay, now that I've done the whole entire line, as you can see, FrameCAD Structure wants to keep going. It could create a polyline until the computer dies. Since I don't need to create this polyline any further, I'm going to go ahead and press Enter and Escape, Escape. Enter ended the command. Escape made sure that I'm not using any commands, and the second time I use Escape, it makes sure that anything I may have had selected is no longer selected. All right, now I'm going to move on by using a command called Copy View. You can type in Copy View. Alternatively, you can use its keyboard alias, CV, and hit Enter. You're going to select the entities to copy from View to View, which is this polyline we just drew. Click that once, and press enter. Structure will zoom you out to show you everything in this file, all of your borders. And all you need to do is click inside of each of these 3 borders. Don't worry about the last 2. Just click in border number 2, number 3, and number 4. All right, when you're done with that, press enter, hit escape 2 times, and you're done with that. The next thing we'll do is we'll go visit our panel settings. So previously we affected the settings for our borders, which was B set. Now we want to use panel settings, which is P set. So I can either type in P set, or I would find that command under structure, settings, P set, panel settings. Okay. Next thing I want to do is here under system name, make sure you are using FrameCAD FTI for Imperial. And for current model, make sure you're using M32 550 S 43 mil 50 KSI. Okay, this represents the actual physical machine itself. If you were a manufacturer and had a machine, you would want to make sure you choose the correct machine that you have. These numbers indicate what type of profile it can create. So the 550 is a 5.5 inch stud. So we're making basically 2x6s. I'm going to click out of that. So I've got M32550S 43 mil 50 KSI. My drafting width is 5.5. Maximum length is 24 feet. I can change this value to whatever value that I want, and FrameCAD Structure will tell me if I have any walls that exceed that length, just so I can make sure that I can fit something on a flatbed truck, or if I don't have enough clearance in front of a machine, then perhaps I need to tell Structure not to make any panels that are larger than what I can accommodate for. Here under opening options, make sure you have webbed head, 2 foot, and then 4 foot. And then under brace panel information, make sure that for your brace type, we're going to use K-brace. And then stud base or strap angle, set that to 1. Once you finish with that, click on save. And then we're also going to affect our truss settings. So structure, settings, T-set, truss settings. Again, we want to update some of these values. So I'm going to use the FrameCAD FTI. I'll use the 362 LE system. I'm going to use sheet for the roof load. And my pitch, there is a little pitch calculator here. If you click in these 2 areas here, there's a little ellipse that shows up. Go ahead and click on that, and you'll get what's called the angle calculator. And this is for calculating the actual angle for the pitch, which is for the slope of the roof. Typically, slopes are measured in ratios to 12, whether it's 12 inches or 12 feet, doesn't really matter. So if my length is 12 and my height is 4, that represents a 412 pitch roof. And that angle is measured using a bit of geometry, and the pitch is this one right here. It's 18.4349 degrees. So let's say that this said 3, it would calculate that as well. That's a 312. This is a 212. This is a 1212. This is an 812. So I'm going to make sure to put in 4, which yields a pitch of 18.4349 degrees. I'm going to click transfer, which will transfer those values here. And then I'm also going to make sure that, yeah, actually that's about it. So I'm going to hit save. All right. So we've affected the settings for the border. We've affected the settings for our panels or walls. And now we've affected the settings for our trusses. Let's go ahead and add some walls. Quick navigate to border number 1. I'm going to temporarily turn off my temporary layer by using LT1. And now I'm going to add using the add command. Type in add and hit enter. And I'm going to navigate to wall up here on these tabs, make sure I'm adding a wall. And for creation method, we're going to say by lines. Okay, and then I'm going to hit create. In the command line, it says select line to convert to a wall panel. I'm going to select my line right here. Make sure that you have nearest entity snap on, and go ahead and click right there. Now it's going to ask me, well, what side would you like the walls to fall on? Do you want them to go inwards or outwards from that line that you had chosen? We want these walls to lay on the inside of this polyline. This represents the concrete foundation or slab below, or stem walls, whatever the foundation system is. And so we don't want our walls going this way because then they won't sit properly on the foundation. We want them to go this way. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure to move my cursor so that way I'm within this polyline that I've drawn, and I'm going to click once. And now I'll have all of my walls appear in yellow. And then the next thing I'm going to do is, actually, I forgot to code these. I'm going to hit escape a couple times, 2 times in fact, and then I'm going to say Control Z to undo. Let's type in add one more time. This time, for panel usage, we're going to use load-bearing walls for all of our exterior walls. Okay, so we're going to assume that all exterior walls are load-bearing and all interior walls are non-load-bearing for this exercise. Load-bearing just means it's bearing the load of something above. It's actually structural. So load-bearing, concrete, the wall height is 8 feet, the floor type below it is concrete. Yes, this is all true. So now I'm going to hit create. I'm going to select my polyline. I'm going to click within that polyline, and then I'm going to press enter to finish the command. I'm going to hit escape 2 times, and now we have red walls. This is what I was looking for. In structure, walls that are red are typically load-bearing. Walls that are a highlighted or yellow color are typically non-load-bearing walls. And so what I want to do now is take a look at it and examine it and make sure all my walls are oriented consistently and correctly. I can see in this corner here, I have this wall going all the way up to the reference point, escape, escape, and then I also have this wall going all the way to that reference point. I can't have 2 walls exist in the same exact spot. So we're going to have to use some member editing commands. Under structure, you're going to go to editing, and our commands are member fillet and member extend. So I'm going to use member fillet. The way fillet works is that you create 90-degree corner conditions between either 2 lines or 2 panels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this wall here, and then I'm going to click on this wall here. And as you can see, that cleans it all up. So now they don't overlap in this corner. Instead, this one here butts up against this one here. So escape, escape. Now, I can see that I'm consistent over here with the way these 2 walls are laid out. You want to make sure you have the same kind of condition here as you do here. What I mean is if this is one of our walls, it's going all the way to the far left and all the way to the far right. Let me show you, for example, inconsistency. If we were to print the walls like this could lead to some confusion out in the job site, and it just doesn't look right. While it would work in real life, there's no need to have this kind of weird habit where this wall butts up against this one, and then this wall butts up against this one, and the dog is chasing its tail. I'm going to undo this by member fillet, selecting the long side and then the other entity. And then I want to make that same kind of decision here as well. Again, I don't want to chase my own tail around. So I'm going to hit enter to reissue the member fillet command. I'm going to click on the long one and then click on the other one. Okay. And then I'm going to make that same decision here. Looks like it's consistent with what I'm doing here. And now I want to fix this corner here. So member fillet, reissue that command by spacebar or enter, right click on this one, click on that one. Zoom out. Got the same thing here. All right, everything's looking perfect now. So now that I've cleaned all those up, it's time for me to add my interior walls. I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to type in LT1 to turn my temporary layer on. And I'm going to type in add. And for panel usage, I'm going to choose non-load bearing. And everything else can stay the same. I'm going to go ahead and change creation method. Instead of by lines, now I'm going to say by points, which means that it's when I draw a line from A to B, it's going to place a wall there. That's doing it by points. So let's hit create. And now all these cyan lines here represent our interior walls. So let's go in, and to the best of our abilities, we're going to use our entity snap settings to snap to our endpoint. So here's an endpoint here. Don't worry if it's not touching your red exterior wall. We'll fix that later. I'm going to snap to that. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to snap to this one here, and I'm going to click it once, and then I'm going to make sure that my line or my wall falls to this left side versus it falling to this side versus it being on the center line. I want to make sure my walls fall on one side. Let's review how that command works by doing it off to the side here. It says select start point for wall. I'm going to click once, and then it says select endpoint for wall. If I turn ortho on, I will be constrained to left, right, up, down movements. So let's select this as my endpoint for the wall. Now it says select orientation for the wall. So what that means is if I move my cursor to the right, the wall will fall that way to the right. If I move my cursor to the left, it's going to fall that way to the left. And then if I move my cursor towards the center, it's going to center it based on that line that I drew from A to B. This is centered. This is to the right of that line. This is to the left of that line. So that's how this command works. I'm going to hit escape a couple times, and I'm going to continue making my walls. Don't worry about them being perfect. We can always edit them in post. And so now I'm going to type in add, and I'm going to say create, and I'm going to do one from this endpoint right here. See that red rectangle? That is my endpoint snap. So I'm going to click on that point. It ensures that I'm clicking on actual geometry that's here in this file. I'm going to click on this endpoint here, and I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to make sure that this falls down this way. Now don't worry if these walls are not lining up yet. We can fix that. In the command line, I can see it wants me to keep drawing more walls. So I'm just going to keep on drawing walls until I have all of my walls done. All right, I think I have all my walls done now. I'm going to hit escape 2 times. Now it's time for us to clean things up. Okay, I've got some walls that don't even touch other walls. Let me turn off my temporary layer, LT1, so we can really see how badly I laid this all out. There's a big gap right here between my exterior and interior wall. There's a gap here. Got overlap over here. Got a gap there. Overlap, 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 and underlap. Down below, I'm under. Got another gap there. You got a misalignment here. Ideally, you won't want this little bump in your house. You don't want to stare at that all the time. So we'll have to align these two and adjust them, and then more overlap and underlap here. So how do we go about fixing this? Let's use our member editing commands, structure, editing. I'm going to use member extend. So this allows me to select this wall here and then this wall here to allow this wall to continue all the way up until this first wall that I had selected. Hit escape a couple times. Let's reissue that command by using the space bar. So I'm going to member extend. I'm going to reference this one first, this red one here, and then I'm going to click on this yellow one here. Okay, escape, escape. You're going to have to do this sequentially, and you're going to have to restart this command as needed. But using right click, enter, or spacebar can be really beneficial for us instead of us having to type in the command. So I'm going to hit spacebar to reissue the member extend command. I'm going to click this wall and then I'll click this wall. So not only does it extend walls, it also can shorten that wall so that way it butts up against another one. I'm going to hit escape 2 times. Let's reissue the command. I'm going to click this wall and then that wall. Okay, I'm just going around cleaning everything up. Escape, escape. This one, I'm going to have to use member fillet. So let's type in MF for member fillet. I'm going to select this one as my long direction, and I'm going to set this one as my other entity. And we'll do it that way. This one is going to need the member extend. ME, ME for member extend. I'm going to click on this wall and then this wall next. Escape, escape. Let's fix these two things. Reissue ME, click on this one, click on that one. Escape, escape. MF for member fillet. And let's use this one as the long entity and this one as the short. Escape, escape. For this one, I can use ME member extend. I can click on this red wall one time, and then I can go ahead and click each one of these two walls since they both have to butt up against this red wall. Escape, escape. And now all that we need to do is we need to resolve this issue here. So first, ME to member extend, click on this red wall, then click on this yellow one. Oops, that's not doing it. Escape, escape. Let's do this instead. I'm going to select this wall. I'm going to type in move, hit enter. I'm going to select this wall from this endpoint, and then I'm going to move it to this endpoint, and I'm going to click. Now these two walls are aligned. Now I need to go through and fix all of these areas here, and also extend to here. So ME for extend, click here, click there, and escape, escape. I'm going to do reissue member extend. I'm going to click on this wall here. Now I'm going to click this wall, this wall, this wall, and this wall. Escape, escape. And now I'm all done adding my walls here and my border number 1. All of those are all cleaned up. And from here, all I need you to do for the actual assignment is you're going to quick navigate to border number 1. I want you to turn on your first floor block using LT1. Okay, and you're going to screenshot this right here so that way I can see that you successfully brought in the floor plan. I can see that there are red walls and yellow walls. I can see your reference point and I can see your border. So make sure to screenshot that. And the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to turn off your temporary layer. LT1, hit enter, and you're going to screenshot this so I can ensure that all of your corner conditions are met. And then I'm going to have you double click on your middle wheel button, move your cursor all the way up to the side, so that way I can see all of these borders populated correctly. All right, that's this lesson for today. This is part 1 of the small FrameCAD ADU project. If you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comments section or utilize our homework help discussion board. Leave screenshots, be explicit, ask a lot of good questions, and either myself or another student can reach out and give you a workaround or a solution to that issue. Thank you. Also, please make sure that for each one of those screenshots, you name each one of those files properly and save each one of those screenshots and organize it into your own USB drive or cloud drive. Um, Refer to our in-class file naming scheme if you need help with that, and I'll see you in the next one.